Now, India has warned the top United Nations court not to create new international laws on tackling climate change. So its judges aim to craft a fresh global legal framework. Joining other top emitters that are the United States and China, India has told the International Court of Justice that the existing UN framework is sufficient.
In rendering its advisory opinion, the court may exercise due caution to avoid devising new or additional obligations beyond what is already agreed under the existing climate change regime, which take into consideration historic emissions, climate justice, and the principle of equity and CBDRRC, as well as the equitable access to the global carbon budget.
But this, of course, has angered smaller vulnerable states that want to see the court go further. The ICJ is holding some historic hearings to form a so-called advisory opinion on states' responsibilities to fight climate change and the consequences for those damaging the environment. More than 100 countries and organizations are presenting at the ICJ, which is the biggest case ever before the world's top court. The critics say that the ICJ's advisory opinion, which will take months if not years to write, will lack teeth as it is non-binding upon states and there is just no means of enforcement. Now, others hope that the ICJ will in fact lay down a legal precedent that will influence domestic climate legislation and litigation. And India's legal advisors said that the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change reflects a very delicate balance amongst the varying interests and enjoys almost universal adherence. He also warned that India's patience was in fact wearing thin as the world's most populous country is seeking to reduce harmful emissions while also tackling poverty.
Mr. President, climate finance is a critical enabler for planning and implementing ambitious climate actions and an essential element for building trust in climate multilateralism. Developing countries can only scale up their climate actions, whether mitigation or adaptation actions, depending on the support of climate finance they receive from developed countries.
India aims to boost non-fossil fuel power capacity to 500 gigawatts by 2030 and is committed to achieving a net zero emissions economy by the year 2070, which is 2 decades after most of the industrialized West.